Horrible things conspiracy theorists have done in 2020. Fifth, environmental extremists vandalized GMO field trials. In August 2013, a Filipino group called the KMP, or the Movement of Farm People of the Philippines, stormed a field belonging to the Department of Agriculture and uprooted all the plants there. The DOA was testing golden rice, a genetically engineered strain of rice enhanced with beta-carotene, which could improve the nutritional intake of hundreds of thousands of children in developing countries. Claiming to speak for everyone despite having no local farmers within the group, the KMP stated this should serve as a stern warning to those planning to conduct GM field trials in Bicol. While the damage to research was slight that time, attacks on crops like these have greatly contributed to fears about GMOs, slowing down life-saving initiatives and fanning the flames of conspiracy theory. The scientific consensus is that GMOs pose no dangers not ordinarily present in foods. Every scientific establishment in the world has come to this conclusion, supported by over 1,785 independent studies performed over a 30-year period. A groundbreaking review of those studies was published in 2013 by a country whose government is generally anti-GMO, rendering accusations of a government cover-up even more dubious than they normally are. The incident in the Philippines wasn't an isolated event. Far too many anti-GMO activists have behaved like terrorists and propagandists in their zeal. A Belgian potato test crop resistant to Phytophthora infestans, a nasty form of potato blight that has killed people throughout history and costs farmers €55 million a year, was attacked by anti-GMO vandals in May 2011. In 2013, vandals in New Zealand tunneled through fences to destroy 375 radiata pines at Science Forestry Research Institute, causing $400,000 worth of damage. Resistant to pesticide, the trees could play a role in slowing the spread of deforestation, among other environmental benefits. Fourth, conspiracy theorists terrorize Colorado theater shooting victims and witnesses. On July 28, 2012, alleged shooter James Holmes, 24, killed 12 people and wounded 70 more at the Century 16 Theater in Aurora, Colorado. Conspiracy theorists jumped all over the case before the bodies were even cold. They are trying to scare you and take away all your guns, the theorists say, so they fake shootings or set up false flag operations. Soon, the theorists were harassing witnesses and posting their names and home addresses online, forcing prosecutors to ask for measures to ensure the participants' safety. When the judge decided to seal many documents and barred attorneys and investigators from speaking publicly about the case, the theorists even tried to impersonate witnesses, filing for court documents under their names in an attempt to obtain confidential information. The next year, Tom Sullivan, father of victim Alex Sullivan, had to deal with a nutcase who kept trying to contact him through his union regarding space aliens. The next year, Tom Sullivan, father of victim Alex Sullivan, had to deal with a nutcase who kept trying to contact him through his union regarding space aliens. Shelly Lucido, the president of the union's Aurora chapter, fielded the calls and said that it was almost body snatcher stuff. Later that year, Kevin Purfield of Portland, Oregon was arrested on charges of harassment and intimidation for making dozens of phone calls to family members of the victims. Frank Fania, spokesman for the Aurora police, said about the 45-year-old's calls, "In the beginning, it was this conspiracy theory stuff. Then, it went away from the conspiracy theory into personally attacking the families, calling them names and hoping bad things would happen to them." Third, Sandy Hook Truth, a vandalized playground, told victims' mother her daughter didn't exist. In May 2014, Lynn McDonnell, mother of Sandy Hook victim Grace McDonnell, received a telephone call. The anonymous caller claimed to have vandalized a playground that had been built in honor of Grace's memory as part of the Sandy Ground project, which aims to build a playground for every one of the victims. The caller taunted McDonnell over the phone, insisting that her daughter never existed. The caller's claim of vandalism turned out to be true. A sign based on Grace's own drawing of a peace symbol had indeed been stolen. On May 20th, 28-year-old Andrew David Truelove was arrested for the crime after posting pictures of himself making obscene gestures at the sign to a news and opinion website called The Daily Banter. Police recovered the missing sign from his house as well as another missing sign from a Mantua-looking New Jersey playground dedicated to Chase Kowalski, whose mother he had also harassed. Truelove was part of a movement that believes the Sandy Hook massacre never happened or that it was some kind of false flag operation set up by the government, much like the Aurora shooting conspiracy theories of earlier the same year. These claims are, of course, completely outlandish and easily debunked. Even Glenn Beck, no stranger to crazy conspiracy theories, has lambasted them. If they stayed on their message boards and sat at their booths at gun shows, this might be alright, but many Sandy Hook truthers have become menaces, vandalizing property, harassing and even threatening parents and investigators, and disrupting hearings and meetings. Sadly, truthers aren't the only ones vandalizing parks from the Sandy Ground project, though. Just a few days before this incident, vandals scrawled graffiti over the entrance sign of another park, which honored Anna Grace Marquez Green. While the message left by the vandals was well-meaning, it was still a destructive eyesore. Second, Sandy Hook truthers harassed hero Gene Rosen. One of the most despicable examples of bad behavior after the Sandy Hook massacre was the way many Sandy Hook truthers treated Gene Rosen, who famously took in 6 children and a bus driver who had fled the scene of the massacre. For this act of selflessness, he was repeatedly threatened and harassed. Soon after his story broke, truthers began calling and emailing him, accusing him of lying about his story and being what they call a crisis actor. One caller said crisis actor. The emails became so numerous that a friend began screening them on Rosen's behalf. Even so, the harassment continues. Truthers have posted pictures and Google Earth images of his home online. They impersonated and maligned him on social media. Anti-Semites on white supremacy message boards have mockingly called him an emotional Jewish guy. Several obnoxious YouTube videos were posted that made outlandish claims, including that Rosen was once a member of the Screen Actors Guild. They had actually identified a different man by the same name. Comment sections of these videos include heartless declarations like the only thing consistent about this clown's act is all the fake crying. First, Jenny McCarthy reversed vaccine gains. More than any other public figure, actress and former Playmate model Jenny McCarthy has been responsible for spreading the absurd conspiracy theory that vaccines cause autism and large corporations and governments cover it up so they can make billions, among other spurious and outright false claims about vaccines. Both the science and the politics of this movement are atrocious. But that didn't stop American TV news networks from fueling the fires of conspiracy with around 171 stories about the debunked science of the anti-vaccine movement. As a celebrity, McCarthy herself toured the talk show circuit, accepted speaking engagements, and sponsored various groups to promote her insane cause, building a small army of anti-vaxxers. As a result, cases of measles tripled in the US alone in 2013. Over the last few years, new cases of whooping cough have exploded. Anti-vaccine Muslim clerics in North Africa have been largely responsible for the failure of vaccination programs against measles in Nigeria that have killed hundreds of children. Herd immunity is breaking down in several parts of the world, including places where it has become deadly to be unprotected. It seems that these new outbreaks of vaccine-preventable diseases and the turning tide of public opinion have tempered McCarthy's stance. Perhaps it was a drought of speaking engagements and sponsorships or the demolition of a recent #AskJenny campaign by pro-health advocates. Whatever the case, McCarthy disowned her reputation as a rabid anti-vaccination activist in April 2014. "I am not anti-vaccine," she told the Chicago Sun-Times. This is not a change in my stance, nor is it a new position that I have recently adopted. For years, I have repeatedly stated that I am, in fact, pro-vaccine, and for years, I have been wrongly branded as anti-vaccine. It's impossible to know just how many people have already died as a direct result of the misinformation sprouted by McCarthy and her ilk, but that number is large and growing. Now, McCarthy seems to be trying to escape her share of the responsibility for it. Let this be a lesson to us all. Don't get your science from Playboy models and talk show guests. Lance Leclerc is a freelance artist and writer. He writes on subjects ranging from science, skepticism, and religious history and issues to unexplained mysteries and historical oddities, among other subjects. You can look him up on Facebook or keep an eye out for his articles on Listverse. Thanks for watching.